So yeah, thank you all so much for joining. Thanks for bearing with us through a couple of technical difficulties. Obviously, as you can see, we are here for the CMSA Town Hall for the U14s to 19s on April 24th, 2025. And we're really, really happy that you could join us tonight. So thanks so much. Please don't use the question and answer option there. It's tough to manage kind of two different streams, and just keep all the comments to the chat. We unfortunately disable everyone's camera and mic, both for bandwidth, but also just to kind of keep things rolling here tonight. I'm hoping that there's no Wi-Fi issues at my house, and that all of the Instagram and the streaming and the rest of it that will probably take place over the next hour or so is kept to a minimum, so then we can have some good bandwidth here. But I'd first like to welcome everyone and acknowledge the land that we live on. And in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We want to have some clarity, obviously, on what our mission and vision is, and what we are trying to accomplish, and really what drives us on a daily basis. And our mission is really dedicated to working with our member organizations to develop, organize, and promote opportunities which allow all participants to achieve their full potential in a safe, meaningful, and inclusive environment. And our vision is around elevating and uniting our community through soccer. And you'll see those common threads throughout this presentation tonight, and hopefully throughout your interactions with CMSA as well. Our values are around leadership, stewardship, integrity, excellence, and in communication. And you'll notice that I'll say the words like collaborate quite a bit tonight. We want to be leaders in this space, and not only just leaders locally and provincially, but nationally as well. And we know that we have to be stewards of the game, and stewards of the business side of soccer as well. So if at any point you don't feel like we are embodying these values and the behaviors associated with those values, I hope that you'll let us know that, and I hope that you'll hold us to a very high standard with that, and we will uphold that for you. My name is Jordan Stewart. I'll be kind of piloting tonight with Melissa Collinson as my co-pilot. Melissa is our member and operations manager, and is literally the glue that kind of holds it all together. She's responsible for everything from the in-office staff to everything league related, to fields, to scheduling, to just about anything that CMSA touches. Melissa's got fingerprints all over it, and is a very, very vital part of the organization. And we're really lucky that Melissa chooses to work at CMSA every day, and I'm really lucky that she doesn't get too sick and tired of me, and chooses to work alongside me as well every single day. I'm currently the CMSA technical manager. Previous to this, I've worked with players from U4 all the way through to university age players. Prior to CMSA, I worked for Alberta Soccer as the regional coach for Southern Alberta and was the Alberta Recs director. We oversaw a great period with provincial teams, with Recs, with pro clubs coming in, and had a great period of success pre-COVID there. My portfolio with Alberta Soccer was primarily around player development, so talent ID, talent development, district outreach as well, so servicing the southern districts of the province and trying to help them develop and grow and meet their needs. And then also through coach education. So how do we develop better coaches? How do we give them better tools? And how do we put on excellent coach training and coach education? I've got experience working in grassroots clubs, in pro clubs, obviously a PSO with Alberta Soccer, our youth national team development system, colleges and universities, district outreach, and now I'm at CMSA. And it really gives a pretty broad spectrum and a broad vision of the game, with kind of where I've worked in and what I've done. So happy to have a conversation with anyone. If you see me out at a center, if you see me, I don't know, in the grocery store, wherever, I'm always willing to talk about the game and happy to talk about the game and answer any questions. Before we look forward to Outdoor 2025, I think it's really important to acknowledge the year that we've just gone through. It was CMSA's 50th year, the golden year, if you will. And this really encapsulates a lot of what we do and a lot of the outcome of the work behind the scenes. So I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate our community as well by looking back at 2024.
And with that, the 2024 season comes to an end.
And so thank you. Thank you if you've been with us through that year and many other years, and thank you for continuing. And if this is your first time into CMSA, welcome as well, because we're trying to create a very vibrant and amazing community through soccer here. I always like to start off these presentations by speaking to the player first and really what their pathway is, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. Yeah, we're here for coaches and referees and some other pieces as well, but the player is so important to everything. And what you'll see here is the Canada Soccer player pathway, and it looks a little confusing maybe if this is the first time you've seen this image, but it's really quite simple when you start to work through it. So you start typically down here in these kind of grassroots ages in terms of active start, fundamentals, and learn to train, and then look to filter up into soccer for life streams, and then maybe even through into development systems that do take place here in Alberta. In Alberta and in Calgary, it looks a little like this. CMSA operates within 1, 2, 3, and 7. The APDL is operated by Alberta Soccer, and it is that stage 4 train to train for players who are a bit maybe more serious, that are looking to pursue the game at a higher level. And from there, players will flow into programs like Rex, programs like Pro Club Academies, and those kinds of environments there in a learn to compete sense. If they continue to flow up the diagram, then they'll eventually end up into senior national teams, youth national teams, pro club academies, and hopefully first team professional environments. If they don't, that's totally fine. There's still universities, there's colleges, there's League One, there's UWS, there's all sorts of opportunity here in this city. And if they still just want to play competitively for life, well, there's men's and women's leagues, there's co-ed leagues, there's major league, and then there's also the community soccer for life stream, where hopefully a lot of these kids will end up as well enjoying the game into their adulthood and playing the game there as well. And so what guides us in terms of all of these decisions that we make, in terms of the frameworks that are put in? Well, long-term player development was a document that was produced in 2008, 2009, that really gives some clarity as to what we need to be doing with each age and stage of player that's in front of us, because not all the animals at the zoo are the exact same. And so LTPD went through it from stages to stages to stages, as you can see, all the way through, which are the age groups that we're talking to tonight, which is essentially 4, 5, 6, and 7. This document started to show its age a little bit, needed a bit of a refresh, and Canada Soccer began to rejig and retool LTPD and implement some grassroots standards for the game. And while this is outside of the scope of tonight, if you've got younger children in your household that are U13 or below, this document's going to have both some minor tweaks because of how far ahead CMSA has been, but also potentially some major changes with the way that clubs operate and the way that club processes work as well, and some changes for CMSA as well. So an awareness there that the frameworks are evolving and changing, and we are trying to both keep up, but also potentially stay ahead in some of those pieces as well. Every single season, we produce this document that goes out to all of our clubs first, and they base their registration packages off of this document. This will outline what the upcoming season looks like in terms of start dates, end dates, how many match days, pricing, postseason, etc. It gives them all of that information to begin formulating their registration. I'd encourage you to maybe compare your club's registration information compared to this, language, terminology, philosophy, etc., and ask 2 questions. Is your club's accurate? And is it actually aligned? Because if those 2 things are not happening, then obviously that creates some confusion within everyone, and also creates some difficult conversations down the line. I had mentioned things such as LTPD and grassroots standards and the program handbook and such. I want to also take a second to applaud all of our clubs for their efforts in becoming licensed clubs within Canada Soccer. This is no small feat, whether you're a National Youth Club license holder or Standards for Quality Soccer, SQS holder. All of these clubs have been put through an evaluation and met criteria that have given them their club license. So SQS will go through 30-odd criteria around administration, technical, governance, finance, etc. And National Youth Club license holders will go through approximately 130, 140-odd criteria. I'm sorry, the numbers escape me right now. There's a lot in my brain and a lot going on, but much more criteria for National Youth Club license, and much more expected of them as well in terms of pathway and in terms of resources and things like that. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want to have people say, well, National Youth Club license holder is better than SQS. There's just more criteria to satisfy, and it's more, there's a lot more to be built out. What I would say is there are fantastic clubs at both levels of club licensing. And keep in mind, this is the top and the bottom essentially, or the beginning and the end. There's still 2 levels of club licensing in between there as well that we haven't rolled out here in Alberta yet. So what I would say is, if you're thinking, oh, well, I need to move to this club or that club because of this, well, no. Does your child love their coach? Do they love the players that they're playing with? And is it close to home and easy for you? Because if those 3 questions are yes, yes, and yes, you've probably got a really, really great home right now, and there's no real need to move. So why do I mention club licensing? Well, club licensing is an acknowledgement that our clubs have met a certain criteria, but it's also had ramifications on the overall soccer system. So what? What has this done? Well, what this has done is a major impact has said, well, there are minimum coaching standards that our coaches need to adhere to, and that our clubs need to be training coaches up to, and we have a part to play in that as well. So tonight we'll talk about that full Safe Sport roster requirement and what that actually is and what's expected of our coaches. What's expected of our coaches is that they are completing all of these things. They have a police clearance with vulnerable sector search. They complete respect in sport activity leader. And then, depending on the age and stage, they go through a choose your own adventure, where tonight they would all be completing a theory course online. They'd be spending 4 hours on field with a learning facilitator to give them some extra tools in their toolbox. And then they're completing make ethical decisions, making headway, emergency action planning, and rule of 2 training. Okay, that feels like a lot. And it is a lot. but we know that it's important that every player has a trained and qualified coach. Our data shows that 5% of players will leave a team and a club and soccer potentially with an untrained coach. With a trained coach, my apologies, compared to 26% will leave with an untrained coach. So the investment in coach education and in coach development is paramount. And so what have we asked our clubs? Well, what we've asked our clubs is to be doing the right thing, and we will be monitoring it because it's no longer acceptable to put one person on all of the rosters that's completed the courses just to satisfy and tick boxes. We want to elevate the standard of our coaching and of the game. And to do that, we need better coaches because better coaches will equal better players. The club's willingness to adhere to these basic standards will determine their longevity in the game here. And what are those standards? Well, the standards have been refined a little bit. The table's been cleaned up ahead of this season. And previously in CMSA, before club licensing and before SQS and National Youth Club licenses and etc., this is all that was required. Respect in sport and your valid EPIC or CPIC, your police clearance. Okay. Afterwards, you'll see that the list has increased, right? You'll see some required coach training in terms of a C license or a C diploma for Tier 1 provincials. You'll see it being recommended by CMSA to do that coach training. You'll see mandatory soccer for life completion and all of the safe sport pieces over here. Okay. Really simple. Does it take time? Yes. Does it take energy? Yes. But we also feel that volunteers and taking things on as a volunteer is not an excuse or a label to do things unprofessionally. And not that everyone is going to go through a B diploma, an A diploma, etc., and spend years doing this. But we want to make sure that our standards are really high for our coaches and that our players deserve the best chance and the best environments that they possibly can have. And so if you're a coach on the line, here's some of your training dates in terms of those practical on-field sessions. So all of this is available to register through our Demisphere platform right now. You've probably received emails about this as well. And we're looking forward to helping you with your coach education and your development. If there's any additional coach education that you're curious about, well, we run kind of a quarterly presentation with national and international experts called our Technical Culture Series, where we will ask them questions. They will prepare a presentation. They will share their knowledge of their best practices and also their realities and struggles right now. There's also the MLS Next Goalkeeper Education Series. So if you're curious about working with goalkeepers more, there's lots of free resources there. And there's also Body Confident Sport webinars. And as I've already mentioned, Making Headway. It's undergone a refresh that is aligned to international best practice around concussion prevention, awareness, recovery, and is led by and has been developed and written by the people who wrote the international consensus statement on concussion. So world leading experts have written that. That is available for our coaches through the locker as well. And of course, we want to emphasize some codes of conduct because you are going to see in your leagues some brand new referees potentially, that this might be their first year refereeing. They might not be the center official, they might be running a line for you, but there will be new officials, that we have certain expectations of how we treat each other and the respect that's shown and how we're protecting players and how we're communicating. So please, if you're coaching, find this code of conduct. If you're a parent, please find this code of conduct. If you're a player, there's a code of conduct as well. This is in our rules and regs, and it's under league on our website and then league rules and forms. Okay, so you can find it there. We want to also speak quickly about if this is new to you and if this is one of your first times, what does CMSA do and what does your club do? And even if we're wily veterans, there is something to be said about understanding this process as well. Sorry, I see that there's a question in the chat. I will need to figure out how to find that. Melissa, can you come off and read it for me? Because I am not able to find Teams right now.
Yeah, no, all good. It's funny because Kim was having troubles earlier in the team managers meeting as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have that looked at. So Julie, in the question and answer portion of the thing, asked who on the field, if anyone, is required to have basic first aid training.
Yeah, it's a great question. So our requirements don't say anything around basic first aid training. It is something that some of our clubs are actually going above and beyond and equipping their coaches with as well. So some clubs are very proactive with this and believe in it very heavily. I'm not saying that CMSA doesn't believe in it, but we also have to find a balance because some clubs are doing that already and they've got all of their coaches trained and eligible. And other clubs can't even fill out their coach database. So their eligibility is already struggling compared to adding more and more and more courses and more training on top of it. They're not even meeting minimum standards, trying to do extra will not happen. So right now, we don't have any requirement in terms of first aid training for anyone at the field or on the field to have. Obviously, that would be amazing, and it's probably something that needs to be reviewed and needs to be prioritized going into future seasons. Right now, it's not something that even our clubs are able to facilitate. And the feedback that we typically hear is the amount of courses is too much. This is too onerous. It's too expensive. It takes too much time. We really hear a lot of realistic excuses and realistic hurdles and barriers that putting one more in place will make it even more difficult. So unfortunately, right now, there is no requirement for anyone to have basic first aid at the field. What I would say or maybe hope as well is we're kind of relying on general public and having first aid be so prevalent through society that someone on site will have that as a piece that addresses some of the first aid pieces. That emergency action planning training really tries to highlight and to have coaches develop a plan. So if there is an emergency that happens on the field, that everyone knows their role and that there's an ability to safely get an ambulance there in terms of directing them. And there is a plan in place if something does happen. So that training helps to bring that to light a little.
There's a couple of follow-up questions.
Yep.
Why not train the refs in first aid?
Yeah, again, great idea and great suggestion. Probably it comes down to a expense piece. It probably comes down to a time piece as well. And it probably comes down to a willingness piece also. And when I think about that, I mean the referee is easily the one who's usually there, but I use the word usually quite deliberately. There are times when a referee no shows. There are times when they miss their assignments, and we work really hard to try and fill those in. But even then, it's not perfect. But it could be a step in the right direction to be arming our referees with that knowledge. So it's a great suggestion. Any more, Melissa? I'll take silence as a no.
No, yeah,
Okay,
no,
yeah.
sorry.
Cool.
My mic was off.
No worries. What does CMSA do? Well, CMSA schedules all the matches in your seasonal schedule, okay? Compared to your club, who's going to organize all of your team's practices and training sessions. That's the schedule that they develop. We work collaboratively. I told you you'd hear that word with our member clubs to put all of the teams in the most fitting division. So I'll explain how that works here in just a moment. But your club places your child onto a team within their club. Okay. CMSA puts all the coaches through formal coach training that I've just touched on. Your club is responsible for finding, retaining, and developing the coaches. So ongoing mentorship, ongoing development, ongoing resources and tools to help them improve. And in terms of jerseys, all CMSA does is provide the U7 to U9 Grassroots League jerseys for the clubs who order them. your club orders all your jerseys for the players in the U10 to U19 league. So hopefully you've got a jersey, hopefully it's all organized, and hopefully it's sorted by this point. I briefly touched on how we kind of build these divisions and kind of glazed over it a little bit. I know this is a little blurry. The image isn't as high res as one would like, but I'll walk you through quickly how this schedule is built. Firstly, we get all of the clubs to submit all of their teams. So is it U13 Tier 3 girls, U15 Tier 1 boys, blah, 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 blah. And they submit all of the teams that they have. Then we bring all of the technical leaders into a room and we say, right, here's what the leagues look like. Here's what each division looks like. Is your team and is your group of players going to have a good experience in that league? They then have the opportunity to move their teams left, right, up, down, sideways, etc. And when there isn't a viable league, which happens, they're able to then go, okay, where can they play that's going to give them meaningful competition? So you might see a U16 Tier 4 team that is dropping into U15 Tier 4 because that's where they feel they're going to get meaningful competition. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be vying for provincials and the rest of it, but we're just trying to produce the most meaningful games as we possibly can. It then gets sent back to the clubs and say, right, this is what we've agreed to. Is this final? The clubs then say, yes, this is approved, this is good. And we compare that with all of the field permits that CMSA has. So CMSA rents a lot of fields from the city of Calgary, obviously, and we're given field permits based on historical bookings, but then we also have to apply for new bookings. It's very difficult for us to get consistency. So hypothetically saying the U15 Tier 2 boys play every Wednesday between 6 and 8 p.m. because we just don't have that consistency in the field permits, unfortunately. We build the schedule and then we manipulate things by hand to look at where teams are playing. Is that too far to travel? Can we adjust it? Can we change some things? And then we do it all again every single season. Okay. Obviously, when there's reschedules, etc., it's going to affect the original schedule, and that could be things like tournament travel, weather, locusts, smoke, etc., that are going to delay or allow games or have games rescheduled as well. CMSA schedules around 5,500 games every season, and it's only going to continue growing. I chatted a little bit about code of conduct and maybe behavioral expectations and maybe what can help us with that. I share this image a lot. If you've seen it before, I apologize. I need some new material, but we want really high standards of conduct from everyone involved in the game. That includes the referees, that includes the players, the coaches, etc. And we expect that people will be treated with respect when we're on site and even in parking lots and around the game as well. Everyone on this call is going to be a champion by the time this call is done, and you are going to set the standard of what's acceptable and not acceptable. We've got tremendous faith that there's a lot of great people involved. Please don't let the bad apples ruin it for us and to complicate things. If there are bad apples around, obviously we have our field marshals at every single game, and this is a parent volunteer that's going to be designated by an orange armband. It really empowers one person on each team to speak up on behalf of the referee amongst their fellow parents and spectators. I've sat in the stands of lots of games with street clothes on, and parents typically have a laugh about this. And to me, it's more serious than that. Someone will start yelling, and then it's like, oh yeah, the field marshal should say something. Ha ha ha. I get it, right? This is about curbing the abuse, curbing any bullying, harassment, or discrimination, and helping our referees at the end of the day. Because these referees right now that are in your U14 or 15 or 18 or 17 or whatever age group, they are going to be the ones who referee an adult as well. And if we can't retain them, then we're going to have massive problems around facilitating games in the future. So there's something about being humanized and being involved in that pre-game chat with the referees. That pre-game chat looks like this, and really the field marshals will be asked to ensure parents and spectators are supportive of the kids on the field and producing a positive sporting environment. There was nothing worse for me growing up than having my dad constantly yelling and berating referees and getting sent to his vehicle every single game. And sometimes it required me to go off the field and tell him to go to the car. And it was embarrassing and awful, and it puts kids in a really tough situation. So please be supportive. Team officials, you're here to coach and support your players. That's what you're there for, and that's your priority. And the example that team officials, the coaches, the team managers, the examples that you set, typically the parents follow. So if you are abusive, if you're arguing, if you're dismissive, etc., that's the culture that you're creating within your team and your ecosystem. The team captains, obviously, as a referee, this is what you can expect from me today and how I'm going to prefer to referee. And I've made a commitment to learning as a referee. I'm looking for your support today and to have a bit of empathy. Okay. Carrying through with kind of a referee theme, we are working our backsides off to make sure that our U12 to U19 tiers 1 to 3 have 3-person crews this summer. This will be a first of its kind nationally. We are trying to lead this, and we are really trying to up the experience and elevate our overall match for those tiers to begin with. Tier 4, Tier 5 may come later on, but it requires member club approval of the budgeting and fees to make those kinds of things happen. So how are we doing this, and why are we trying to do it? Well, we're trying to put on extra entry-level courses to attract and recruit referees en masse. And so this will be the second or third season in a row where we've brought in over 200. This year will be 300 new referees. And while you probably won't see all of those new referees in your leagues, you will likely see some of them. We've included female-only courses so that there's a safe space for young women and girls to become referees and get involved. We've had tremendous success in terms of recruiting female referees through our junior officiating program, which is our high school initiative, where we cover the cost of becoming a referee. They get some experience in their high school league, and then they come into CMSA's leagues, and we're seeing 50% of those registrants be young women and girls. So it's a massive success right now. Unprecedented province-wide for sure. And I would even probably say nationwide in terms of leading there, in terms of female referee recruitment and attraction. Part of that as well is around launching She Can Ref, which is bringing these female officials together to discuss some of the problems, to find solutions, to help mentor and develop and support and create a network of female officials that are going to help progress the game. Because it's an absolute travesty in this city that there isn't one female referee that's at the appropriate level to referee the Calgary Wild FC and in the NSL. Not one referee in this city. It's wild to me. So we need to make sure that we're providing opportunities and pathways for these young women to reach their dreams as well through referee. If any of your children are receiving kids sport funding, there's also Project Ref that can be a part of their education and their soccer development. Project Ref is a free, it's really allowing, sorry, let me rephrase this. Project Ref is breaking down all the barriers to becoming a referee. It's free for any child receiving kids sport funding. They receive all of their gear, everything that they're going to need to referee, totally free of charge. Kids Sports supplying that. It's a phenomenal endeavor, and it's providing great employment opportunities for these children as well. The Teal Shirt campaign is something that has been going on for the past few years. You've likely seen it. You've seen referees wearing a teal shirt with first-year referee on the back of it. That is literally what they are. They are brand new. They're learning. They're going to make mistakes, and they could be having their very first game when you see them. And again, if we don't want to continue to develop referees and keep referees, we're going to continue to have a bit of a problem. So we need to make sure that we are supporting them and that we're creating a great environment for them. Part of creating that great environment is around the mentorship program, and where we pair up these new referees with experienced referees to provide support and guidance, and also develop a development plan for these young referees to hopefully keep them going and keep them progressing. Our mentors have gone through an education program where they are now aligned with how they are mentoring and what they are doing. And we're providing monthly education sessions open to every single referee in Calgary. We've heard the cries of we need more referees and we need better referees from our year-end surveys. So we are actioning all of this, and we are actively trying to fill those gaps and to really push refereeing forward. And then lastly is around the zero tolerance policy. And this is an abuse piece, this is a harassment piece, this is a discrimination piece where we are not tolerating any of that anymore towards our referees and really in the game as well. So it's reportable by any person. And really, it's going to allow the referees to have additional powers and authorities while also expanding the discipline capabilities of CMSA for people who choose to abuse referees. It allows referees to take timeouts in matches, so they could say, if this isn't going so well, we're going to take a 5-minute timeout. We're going to sit and cool down, and I'm not refereeing. They also can completely abandon the match, and the match will not be rescheduled or replayed or points awarded for that match. They have the ability to say, nope, this is not a good environment. I am grabbing my things and I'm leaving. The beautiful part is they still get paid because they were there. The travesty is that we're putting them in that situation and then the kids can't even play the game. So let's be thinking about that. The key takeaway really from it, if you're a coach, is to coach, not question. If you're a parent, cheer, not abuse. And if you're a player, to play, not dissent. Okay? There's going to be moments this season when referees do no-show. Okay? We work incredibly hard and put in a lot of time and hours into making sure that referees are showing up to games and that they're scheduled appropriately. If a car breaks down, if a dog is dying, if there's a family emergency, if whatever has happened and the referee is not able to make it, both teams have to agree on who's refereeing the game. The game still gets played, and if you want, the teams can split the game into 2 halves. So I'll take this half, you do the other half, and away we go. A great strategy is to ask parents and siblings if they're present. Are any of you a referee? Have any of you done the course? Because they can then step in and they get paid for the game. So there's something around there to potentially having a backup referee, maybe within your parents or siblings, etc. group. Some tournaments and events that we have going on this year. Our Victoria Cup, you may have gotten an email today around an extended registration time to allow for a few more teams to filter into that. It's May 16th to 19th. We're really excited for that tournament over the May long weekend, presented by Papa John's, who's become a massive supporter of the game here in Calgary. There's also our Fairway to Footy, which is now becoming our annual golf tournament and fundraising endeavor. Last year, we raised over $50,000 for soccer, and we're encouraging everyone to get behind it. Either if you've got a silent auction item to donate, if you want to come and play. It was a great time last year. We had rave reviews from all of the golfers. Or maybe if you want to sponsor a hole, it would be amazing to have you, and we'd really, really look forward to your support. The Grassroots Rally is at the end of June, but that's for all of the really youngins. We are bringing back our Calgary Cup presented by Cal Tire this year in July. Great tournament, lots of teams looking to get into a summer tournament, so it's usually very, very busy. And then, of course, our fall series presented by Armstrong into September. And there will be an unveiling for another tournament that we're looking to launch in October. Awareness as well around Free Soccer Friday. Free Soccer Friday explodes every single Friday, it feels like, with more and more kids coming out to a drop-in soccer opportunity. People will think, well, wait a minute, why would I go to a drop-in soccer opportunity or event? There's no coaches there. My kids aren't going to develop, etc. Well, what I would say is common threads through talent development research is around access to facility, mixed age play, and unstructured environments. So, what is an unstructured environment? Well, unstructured environments essentially don't have adults around to screw it up. It allows the kids to get involved, to advocate, to communicate, to problem solve, to handle discipline, to lead, to follow, to develop other skills that will help them outside of the game as well. And this unstructured nature allows players to have some freedom, to be creative, to not worry about playing time or making mistakes or anything like that, and to really express themselves. Most people see this as a young kid kind of piece. This can be for any age, as long as you're a youth, right? So, massive opportunity there for some extra work. This is not an opportunity to bring out your team and to run a training session then. So there's no adults around, there's no adults allowed, except if the child's under 6 years old, then we allow an adult on the field. Okay? Completely for the kids, by the kids as well. The upcoming dates for that are at the Genesis Center, Calgary Soccer Center, the next couple of Fridays after that. This tends to move around the city to, again, reduce barriers and allow access to the game for these players. You'll need to know as well about the lightning and adverse weather policy. So it used to be that you'd see a lightning strike, you'd count how long until the thunderclap was, and then you would determine if we should call the game or not, or if we should continue. It's now around if you hear thunder, we go indoors and we shut things down. So when thunder roars, go indoors. Really catchy, really simple. And when you hear thunder, it starts a 30-minute timer, okay, until we can resume. If in that 30 minutes there's another thunder clap, that restarts the 30-minute timer. Okay, so this is really important. We do not want anyone to be struck by lightning, and it's really important to adhere to this and follow this, not just in matches, but in training as well. The air quality policy as well is ever changing and being refined, but essentially the guidelines is when the air quality is at a certain level, games are either delayed or rescheduled. I would encourage you to continue to monitor this because I would expect changes to these policies through the season as well, and make sure that you're aware of that. Again, we want to produce a safe environment for the players and make sure that they can enjoy the game. Whew. Melissa, is there anything that I need to address in the chat?
Nope, I'm just addressing the last question that I see right now. Oh, actually, one just popped in there if you want to have a look.
Oh, okay. Can you read it to me?
Right, I forgot. Okay, Coach
No
Jacob
problem.
with SWU. Does CMSA have a standardized player development report card or evaluation template? I'm looking for a tool where both coaches and players can track and score performance from the start to the end of the season.
Yeah, really, really great question. In terms of us having a standardized template for here are the KPIs essentially to say you're at this level or you're developing or you're not developing, it's virtually impossible and it's really difficult to do that for 30 odd member clubs that all maybe have a different game model, slightly different philosophies. They prioritize maybe different things. I would expect your club to be providing some sort of template with that. And I'm not trying to not do the work here. It is far too nuanced to provide something that's very standardized. It's great that you're thinking that way in terms of trying to track performance and measure development and also have some really meaningful conversations both with the player and families and such. But in terms of standardized, it's really, 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 really hard to do. We exist in an environment where non-linear pedagogy, so the teaching in a non-linear system, is really, really important. And when you have standardized things of, a 15-year-old should be able to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what if that 15-year-old just started 3 years ago? What if they started 10 years ago? It's really difficult to say, here's what a 15-year-old should be able to do at APDL level, at a tier 2 level, at a tier 5 level, because everyone is different and it is very non-linear, and putting a linear model in a non-linear environment doesn't work super well. So we've avoided those things deliberately because it's far too nuanced and complex in this ecosystem to say, here's your standardized one pager, one size fits all. When I was running the Rex program and working in there, they would have metrics in terms of ranking the players 1 to 10, 10 being essentially starting for the senior women's national team and world class. We're talking Christine Sinclair essentially. 8s and 9s in the senior women's teams, 5, 6, 7 in the U20s and U17s, 1 to 4 Rex and Super Rex at the time. So you would do up these reports and you would say, right, here's 2 things you're great at. Here's 1 key area to improve on based on your position, based on your physical testing, etc. And you would give them these report cards and they'd all have 1s and 2s and 3s, etc. on them. Some of them would have a 5 and their faces would drop. But it's about context as well, and the standardization of it needed to happen in that so they could compare an apple to an apple in a youth national team against, say, physical benchmarks internationally. In our environments, I think if it's here's one thing you're great at, here's a growth area, I think that's really sufficient, if I'm honest. And I would check with your club first to see if they have something. Okay, I'm going to keep rattling on unless Melissa tells me to stop. Fields for our future. This is our most important campaign right now. This is where we need every single person on this call to be supportive and to be advocating and to be active in this, because our current state in the game looks like this. Highly likely, and it pains me to say this, but highly likely this coming indoor season, there will be no vacancy signs in CMSA. We will have to cap leagues, we will have to cap programs, and we will have to turn players away. There's going to be really hard decisions to be made, and what we don't want to do is to do that. We are simply out of space, and what we have that we can exist in is falling behind. We've got aging facilities that lack amenities. We hear it all the time about the spectator viewing. So please, the next season-ending survey or report, you don't need to say anything about the spectator viewing at certain facilities. Well, all facilities, if we're honest, because we know, we hear you. Outdoor fields are worn down, they're poorly maintained, etc. Right? We are currently experiencing 10% growth year over year. Our conservative numbers at 5% growth per year will put us at 45,000 players by 2030. Okay, so let that sink in. In 5 years, we will bring in another 15,000 players. Where in the world are they going to play? We're going to be shoveling off parking lots in malls through the winter, trying to host games at that point, because there is no other option. We anticipate, and the stats show from host nations that host World Cups, their registration will increase 30%. Some dire times. And I'm not trying to paint a gloom and a really doom and gloom picture, but this is our reality, okay? And these are also valuable in outdoor, right? When we don't have to worry about rainouts and smokeouts because we can schedule in there, and you get a guaranteed climate-controlled facility that you know your game is going ahead. It boggles my mind when people send in responses of, we registered for outdoor soccer. Why are we playing indoors? You're playing on the best turf pitch on the planet in a climate-controlled environment, and your game is guaranteed to go ahead. If that's not good enough, I don't know what's going to be good enough. So what are we advocating for? Okay, and what do we need your help with? Well, we need field houses. We need field houses, hard-walled facilities that will guarantee year-round play and enable our current training spaces to be freed up to train on as well. And it's dedicated for soccer. Okay, We need to enhance our existing infrastructure and bring those existing spaces up to modern standards of the game to ensure safety and playability into the future and that everyone receives a quality experience. We also want to increase the collaboration with the city, that they are coming to us and saying, what does soccer need? How high should the roof be? How many fields, what's the sizes? What's the configuration? How many meters from a touchline do we need to make sure that it's safe for players? These are the things that we're advocating for. And so this campaign has been ongoing, okay? We've had 2,500 supporters recruited so far. That is 5% of our database. Where are the other 95% of you? We need you. And this is our call and our call to action for you. We need you. And on the next slide, you're going to have a QR code. So please get your phone ready so that you can scan that one. We've had some impressions on social media, obviously. We've engaged with government officials 12 times, both provincial and municipally. And we've had 20 plus news stories about the campaign and about the need. What we're going to continue working on is ongoing advocacy and campaign awareness. We're developing business plans as well to demonstrate the need and the opportunities for private investment potentially and for government investment. We're encouraging mayoral candidates as well to take the pledge that they are going to prioritize soccer. This is important, and City Council will listen to what's being said by soccer. What are we asking of you? Well, we're asking you to join. We're asking you to share this with your friends, with your neighbors, with your parents, with anyone, your aunts, your uncles, etc. I think you get the point. Everyone, including your dog, if you can. And then it's literally this simple. You get an email that says, hey, tell your elected officials, that we need more facilities. You click a link, you click another button, and it's done. It's 5 seconds worth of effort. And we could not make this more simple for people to get involved. Really, really important. Please support this. This is necessary, not just for your children right now, but the future of the game here in this city. Okay. Moving into something maybe a little more fun and positive, we're launching some summer camps this year as well. The camp dates are on your screen for the Boys Week. We are adding activities every single day. This thing is going to be crazy. Really excited on the way that this is turning out and the partnerships that are getting involved with this fantastic camp. You can register on our website. You can go and find all the details there as well. And then there's a girls one as well. So there's Boys Week, there's Girls Week. It's open to all youth players, 8 plus essentially. It's going to be at the Shane Holmes West Soccer Dome. We're looking forward to a couple of really fantastic weeks with the kids. Okay, the bits that you probably really want to know around Outdoor 2025 and the 14s to 19s. Well, the league structure looks like this. There's 14 randomized games that will be played in your schedule, right? In your tier, in your group, 14 randomized games. All playing in 11v11 format, obviously. And it's going to have citywide play. So expect some travel and such. We have had divisions before where West Hills plays Strathmore, for instance, and there is a bit of a travel there, and we understand that. This is where the teams are put. This is where your technical leaders are putting them as well. So we try our best to try and get an equitable schedule that kind of minimizes the travel. But again, with our field permits changing, with teams being entered, it becomes a bit of a very difficult jigsaw puzzle to put together. There is a Challenge Cup at the end of the season, so kind of a Final Four piece, and I'll dive into that a little bit. And we are going to have 3-person crews from Tier 1 to Tier 3. You're probably thinking, well, what happens at Tier 4 or Tier 5? Well, we are still going to rely on some sibling or parent help there, and we're busy creating a video resource to give you a little bit of education and help you feel a little more comfortable when you do step into that role. So look for that shortly. In terms of qualifying for provincials, the first one is the league winner, okay? And the second one is the Challenge Cup winner. Okay, so the league winner will automatically qualify. The Challenge Cup is the top 4 teams from the league at the end of the year go into a little playoff series. And if the Challenge Cup winner is the same team as the league winner, then the runner-up in the league standings is going to qualify for the ASA provincials. Okay. The U14 and U16 divisions do not lead to ASA provincials, and there is no opportunity to challenge there either. Okay. So we want to be really, really clear about that as well. If you are a part of one of the out-of-district clubs that compete within CMSA, so we're talking about Chestermere, Strathmore, Okotoks, Airdrie, Lethbridge, Cochrane, Springbank, or anything outside of essentially the Calgary city limits, you do not qualify for provincials through CMSA, and you do not participate in the Challenge Cup either, because this is you qualify through your own district, okay, for provincials. You don't qualify through CMSAs. All right, making it really clear. There's some questions usually about this every single year. Age eligible teams that are playing up an age group can challenge the Challenge Cup champion or Challenge Cup runner-up, and it's the highest ranked team in there in those head-to-head matches if more than one team is playing up. So all of this is rinsed in our rules and regulations, so please give that a quick viewing, and you will find out more. There are always questions around where does all the money go? Well, we hear you. You want transparency? This is the transparency. This is the CMSA fee that is collected from the club on a per player basis. Okay? This is the U14 breakdown. You'll see the CMSA fee, you'll see the ASA fee. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, from that CMSA fee, we pay that $30 to Alberta Soccer per player. On your screen is the price per match day. Okay? So we've tried to kind of break it down a little bit for people because people really want to know how much it is per match. And people will go, our registration was this much. Where does all the money go? Well, that's how much CMSA retains per player and per division. U14s. U15s on your screen. Okay? Same breakdowns. That's what CMSA collects. That's what the price per match day is that we collect in. The 17s are on your, or sorry, 16s, pardon me. If I can add 1 to 15, it would help. 16s are on your screen. That's what it breaks down to, price per match day. Okay? 17s, you'll notice it incrementally increases just a little bit. Okay? That's how much it is that we retain, and that's what it is, price per match day. Okay? The 19s, it drops a little bit from the 17s there, and that's what it is, price per match day. How does that break down in terms of in CMSA? Well, the majority of it is really around league costs. So booking fields for games, paying referees, and other league-related expenses. Okay? There's a small portion that go into a facility fund so that we can continue to renovate and potentially build future facility projects like the Shane Holmes West Soccer Dome renovation and the new Shoaldice Bubble. Well, new, it's a couple of years old, but it is fairly new still. There's a donation to Kidsport because Kidsport fund Calgary families to the tune of $900,000 and more just to play soccer. We are the largest recipient, soccer in Calgary, of Kidsport funding. So we need to make sure that we're filling up that well a little bit as well so that the game and sport stays accessible for everyone. I mentioned that there's a portion that goes to Alberta Soccer and Canada Soccer on from there as well. And then a small portion helps to pay for the CMSA administration to ensure that Calgary Soccer is run, well, we hope, fairly efficiently and continues to innovate. Okay? ASA insurance. Your child, if they haven't gotten injured yet, they may get injured. And sometimes it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So if or when an injury happens, please go and see a doctor. You need to get a doctor's note and a diagnosis. Okay? We know that general practitioners, etc., may not be able to provide a serious diagnosis, but they will at least say, yes, such and such is injured and unable to play. You then go to Alberta Soccer's website and you need to fill out the form within the first 30 days of injury to make sure that you are getting insurance coverage. What's going to happen is you're going to use your personal insurance first, and once that gets exhausted, all of the Alberta Soccer insurance kicks in after that. Okay? We know that physio and rehab expenses can get very, very expensive, so I would very highly recommend that you do the paperwork within the first 30 days of that injury, okay? To start that process and at least get a claim on file. Whether you access it or not, it's at least there for you too. Okay? And lastly, everything kind of starts now, or in at least 48 hours, right? There's some kickoffs on Saturday morning that we're looking forward to. And it's going to start. The craziness of the outdoor season is just upon us, and we're really, really excited that you're joining us and that your children are joining us as well. So I'll leave you with this little video about what we believe is going to start now and what we are really looking forward to seeing through the outdoor 2025 season. And so thank you. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the clubs, on behalf of the referees, on behalf of CMSA, everyone involved, just to thank you. Thank you to all of you and your investment, your curiosity tonight. And I leave everyone with this image. And this image is really important because to me, it signifies the progress that we've made over the last 4 years in terms of clubs not doing whatever they want and going in whatever direction, that there's now some consistency, that we're pulling the game in a similar direction, and that we are going to make more progress quicker when we continue to do that. So we're really grateful for your time. We are really grateful for your investment, and we're really grateful to have you a part of this community. Should you need anything, right? And if you have some questions, our email and our phone number is on the screen, and you can please connect with us across social media on those that are listed on your screen as well right now. So thank you for tonight. I'll jump back into any questions and look to respond to those here as well. Melissa, is there anything that needs addressed?
Yeah, I think this one, what happens when our team does not have a parent coach on our first game?
Oh, that is a great question. That sounds like you need to be speaking with your club, and your club should be providing some sort of staffing or coaching for that game. You know, coaches might be away, they might not even be in place, but it's your club's responsibility at the end of the day to be making sure that that requirement is fulfilled. So I would be inquiring with the club as to what their plan is. Are there any more questions, Melissa?
Not that I'm seeing thus far.
Okay, I might stop sharing. Oh, there's everyone. There we go. I'm gonna stop sharing. Cool. I appreciate the positive comments in the chat as well. Great to see there as well. Q&A. There was a dot there. Does this work both ways? Referees abuse coaches too? Yeah. We would love to hear about when referees abuse coaches. It looks like there's a comment. Melissa, I'm sure you've addressed that. Looks like you've addressed all of those. So my apologies. If I would click a button, I would see that, but I didn't click the button. If there's really no other questions, we'll kind of shut things down for tonight and just say thank you again. Hopefully you get to catch Love Island or Dancing with the Stars or whatever it is that you missed tonight by tuning in. And just thank you very much We'll stick around for a few more minutes if there's any final kind of comments or questions. Will CMSA be looking into lobbying for a third CMSA team qualifying for provincials similar to Edmonton's district? Melissa, you can speak to that if you want.
Yeah, so it's not when it comes to provincials, it's actually not about lobbying. There's very specific rules and regulations in the ASA provincial rulebook. And so what happens is if they need another team to fill out a said grouping or something like that, there's also a priority list of who they offer a third spot to first. Anytime CMSA has been offered a third spot, we've absolutely taken it every single time. So again, it's not about lobbying for a third spot. It very much is through the rules and regulations of Alberta Soccer as to how or when a third spot opens and how it gets offered out to the districts.
Yeah, and basically paraphrasing, it's like, is there another one within the district that doesn't have to travel? Is there one within 50 kilometers? Like, there is a fairly defined process and criteria there. If it was just about politicking and lobbying,
I got
we'd be
it
all
handled.
over that. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a political piece, as most people feel like a lot of youth sport is dominated by. Cool. Even if you're typing something in the chat, we can't see that you're typing. You can just hit 4 buttons that say wait, and we're more than happy to stick around while you finish typing a potential essay or big question. Happy to wait. And if not, if we don't see any of those, then we'll shut things down and say thanks very much one last time. And looking forward to seeing you on the pitch and around the pitch this upcoming outdoor 2025 season.
Thanks, guys, so much.
Excellent. We'll see you all later.